Hey everybody, long time no video, but today I have an interesting video about TP-Link OMADA. Now, normally speaking, I am a big proponent and a big user of the Ubiquiti Unify line of products. I like them because they're simple, they do the job. For the most part, there's a lot of controversy there. But generally speaking, as long as your deployment is not complex, doesn't have a lot of networking rules and whatnot, or segmentation, the Ubiquiti Unify stuff is pretty good for home use, prosumer use, or even small businesses for the most part. For me, who administers a lot of these systems, I like the fact that everything is in a single pane of glass, so you can log in through the Ubiquiti, portal. You can look at the unified dream machines that you're administering, log into them, make some changes, do all that sort of stuff. Really helps as a person who is administering several dozen of these systems. But after the pandemic and the continuing supply chain issues, getting Ubiquiti products sometimes, especially in Canada where I'm located, is difficult and spotty at best. To give you a simple example, the Unified Dream Machine, not the SE version, has been out of stock from the Canadian Unify store for I think close to 4 months now, 4 or 5 months now. And while they do have the SE version, the Pro SE version, it's more expensive, and honestly, sometimes or most of the times, my clients don't require that specific gateway solution. So why spend the extra money for something that they don't want? So that's one side of the story. The second side of the story is, of course, never put all your eggs in one basket. Have a backup or a fallback plan. And I've been seeing a lot of talk on the internet, on Reddit, on websites, and also my colleagues speaking highly about TP-Link's OMADA line. Now, TP-Link was kind enough to send me several pieces for review. Uh, so I would like to speak about the TP-Link OMADA line and my experiences with it. I've been trialing the equipment they sent me now for close to a month, and I have developed, a particular understanding and idea about them. But in a nutshell, I still do believe that TP-Link OMADA is a fantastic solution as long as your needs and requirements are fairly straightforward and simple. Again, home user, prosumer, and even small businesses, I think TP-Link OMADA would be great for. But the minute you go into larger organizations, with more complex organizations, I think TP-Link OMADA at this stage might not be as fully featured or as robust as those networks require. So I personally wouldn't deploy them for mid or large size enterprises. Definitely not large. Mid, again, depends. If it's a very simplistic mid type organization, perhaps, but definitely for small businesses. 100%. After using it for a while, I really have grown to like TP-Link OMADA products. They're quite stable. I do see regular updates on them, or I should say I've seen one or two updates in the last month that I've had them, which is a good sign. That being said, if you are comparing TP-Link OMADA to more established players in the market, so what I would say would be the direct competitor would be the Ubiquiti Unify line. Of course, you're going to find TP-Link OMADA lacking, right? I've spoken to my TP-Link rep, and he has told me that they have, or the development team is aware of these deficiencies. And of course, development takes time, development testing, certification, qualifying everything before it's released out. But they have, or he has indicated to me that TP-Link is hard at work trying to add more features, more functionality based on user feedback. So again, they really do welcome the user feedback, and I think that's a really good thing. And I hope this continues on in the future. Now, like I said, I'm familiar with the Ubiquiti line. In fact, let's go to the Ubiquiti website. So Ubiquiti Store Canada. Okay. So this way I can kind of explain you apples to apples how OMADA kind of translates into Ubiquiti. So if you look at the networking side, you can see here that for mainly business deployments, I like deploying the Dream Machine Pro, and you can see that it's sold out of stock. However, the special edition is in stock. Now, for Ubiquiti, they have an all-in-one device, right? So this is an all-in-one router, security gateway. The special edition has an integrated PoE switch and a network video recorder, which you may or may not need. That being said, let's look at this one here. So it's basically, your router, your gateway, and also the controller for all the Ubiquiti products is built inside this one device. So it's basically one device you buy. So let's have a look here. You buy this one device, you connect your WAN port, you connect a couple of switches to it, or you could use this existing switch. If you have any PoE devices, of course you would use a PoE switch, and for example, like your access points, and you are ready to go. So that's something really nice about the Ubiquiti Dream Machine Pros. If you look at their switching, again, same thing here. They've got a whole bunch of switches, PoE, non-PoE, smaller 4-port, 5-port, 8 ports, all the way up to 48 ports. If you look at their Wi-Fi stack, again, you have different access points depending on the use case you require. Right? So, just a simple example, a lot of my small customers, they don't really need something like the LR. They're in a one office or maybe two office, an office and a conference room. Having something like this, again, if you buy two of those, it does add cost, while as something like this would be way more than enough for them. Is continually out of stock all the time in Ubiquiti, which is quite concerning, at least in Canada. I do know that the situation in the US is better. One thing also that bothers me about Ubiquiti is that you have these resellers and distributors who buy up the stock from Ubiquiti and then mark it up at a considerable markup. Again, that cost goes to the customer, which is unfair for my customers, and I don't feel happy charging them just because somebody's scalping Ubiquiti products. Anyways, that's a separate story. Let's not go there. It's quite a political type of discussion, but let's stick to the basics. So you have your consoles, which is this one here, my pick, and you have also the switching, and you have the Wi-Fi over here. Now, it is not necessary to get the Dream Machine Pro to control a Ubiquiti deployment. What you can do is you can technically use the existing router. So let's say a router from your ISP, but you will lose the visibility and control of, let's say, your switches and your access points. So Ubiquiti does have a solution, which is the Cloud Key, in this case, the Gen 2 Plus. All you do is you add this to your network, and suddenly you will have all that visibility that I was talking about, a single pane of glass type of management and monitoring. Of course, you won't be able to manage the ISP provided router, but everything else, so your switches and your access points, you will be able to control it fully if you have this Cloud Key Gen 2 Plus. So hopefully that kind of gives you a quick overview about how the Ubiquiti landscape works. Of course, you'll be looking at the Dream Machine and the Dream Router. These, to me, honestly, are more home user type of things. If there's a really small customer that I have, somebody who, for example, very budget conscious, I might consider this. But if you look at the price here, $385 versus $488, it's about $100. I'd rather get this one. It's more professional, so to speak, right? And usually most of my customers either have a small half height or quarter height rack there, or a networking rack somewhere, or this one can even sit on a shelf. So I like that about this device. It's not too big. It's 19 inches wide, normal rack width, but the depth is quite short, so it's a pretty decent product. Now, if you look at the OMADA lineup, it is a little bit different. And I had a chat with my TP-Link rep The good news is that they're kind of working towards bringing it to parity with what Ubiquiti sells, simply because Ubiquiti is so ubiquitous in the market that TP-Link is trying to emulate at least the product lineup. So if we look at the products, uh, TP-Link breaks it down into different segments, right? So if you look at, for example, the controllers, you have two models. You have the OC200 and you have the OC300. Of course, the difference mainly being is that the OC300 has a more powerful CPU, RAM, all that good stuff, can handle more devices. The 200 can handle less devices, but still the devices are in the 100. Now, when I say devices, I'm talking about TP-Link devices. So it's not a user, it will be more about these type of devices, the access points and whatnot. The good news is that if you don't want to buy this hardware controller, you can run your own hosted software controller, or you could actually subscribe to the TP-Link cloud-based controller. So again, you have multiple options and how you want to run your controller. As a small MSP, I like running my own controller on DigitalOcean or Vultr or whatnot, and kind of have all my clients phone home to the controller, so to speak, and I administer everything centrally that way. That being said, if you do decide to go the route of the hardware controllers, the good thing is it does tie into the TP-Link central portal, where you can go in and then kind of log into each different controller separately and administer it that way. So I do like that about TP-Link. They kind of give you the options. So the equivalent of the OC200 and OC300 would be the CloudKey Gen 2 Plus. Now, of course, the CloudKey Gen 2 Plus does have a built-in hard drive. In the event you are taking the protects lineup, so basically the cameras, you can basically record to the Gen 2, the CloudKey, or in the case of the Dream Machine, you would add a hard drive in there and it would record the footage to the controller itself, or the router, the gateway itself. TP-Link doesn't have that because they don't have a lineup or an integrated lineup of cameras yet. Hopefully in the future they might, but we don't know. So I do like that TP-Link does give you several options of how to do it. So does Unify for the most part. But for the Unify, I mean, you don't have a Unify supported cloud controller yet, but you can go to, I think there's a third-party Hostify, if I'm not mistaken, who does do that. But of course, they're not cheap. It's good at scale, but not for smaller businesses and things like that. So we have that done. Then, of course, TP-Link does have OMADA compatible or capable access points, different ones. They have Wi-Fi 6, different throughputs, capacities, users, things like that. So that's really good. They have also outdoor APs, and they also have a in-wall type of APs also there. So similar again to Ubiquiti. You've got the in-wall stuff, you've got the more light type of access points, you've got the more heavy-duty access points which can support more users and things like that. So I do like the fact that they have multiple selections of access points to kind of cater to your customers' needs. So all that's good. If we go to, again, this is the access points right here. If we go to the switching, again, they run the whole gamut of switches, just like Ubiquiti does over here. Okay, where they have different switches, small, large, with PoE, without PoE. So again, I do like that. They have a fairly decent selection as it stands right now. And again, it is growing. I've been told by the rep that more products are being worked upon, and they will be released forthcoming. Then if you look at the routers, so now TP-Link does things a little bit different, is that if you want the full routing capabilities also, you have to get the routers separately also. So they have two routers here, the ER605 and the ER7206. Again, different capabilities, different, this one has, I can see it has SFP cage here for fiber connectivity. This one doesn't. And of course, I assume that, the processor in each one of them is slightly different. So probably this is the lower end one. This is the higher end one. And of course, they can do multi-WAN and load balancing. So can this one. So it's got some really nice features in it. So again, with TP-Link, they don't have an all-in-one integrated solution like a Dream Machine. However, the good news is I've been told by my TP-Link rep that they are working on a product similar to this, of course, without the hard drive for recording, but it will be a, your basically your controller, a small switch, maybe 4 or 5 port switch in there, as well as, the gateway and all that stuff. So instead of buying, the router, and then buying a switch, and then buying the controller, all those 3 products will be amalgamated into one product. So that is something definitely good, and I really do like this direction that TP-Link OMADA is going in. So a lot of people who are into networking are familiar with the Ubiquiti interface. So let's go over the OMADA controller interface. Now this OMADA controller is actually running on Proxmox. You can see here I've got the OMADA controller running, and it works just well. So let me log in. Okay, perfect. So we actually have a new controller software available, which I will do the update for later. But that's out of the scope of this video. But as you can see here, TP-Link were kind enough to send me the basic 3 devices here. They sent me one access point, one switch, and of course the modem or the gateway. Right? If you go here, click very similar to Ubiquiti and how it does it. Of course, we have the ER605 router. So if you look here, that's the router I have, the ER605. I have a switch here also, which is the 2210P. Now, by default, you will see that this has the MAC address, or the device name is the MAC address. You can easily go and change that. I haven't done it yet, but there we go. Just change it here. We can set it to 8 port switch, PoE switch, and hit apply, and there we go. It's updated and saved already. And then of course they also sent me a EAP 650. So let's do the same thing here. Config, say EAP 650, and apply, and instantly changes. So very, very nice. Let's go back to the dashboard and have a quick look. This is very similar to Ubiquiti's dashboard, the way they do it, and I do like it. A lot of people say it's copying and everything like that. Hey, I mean, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, so I do like that. That they've kind of copied it and not made it too different, but they've added their own special touches here and there. All right. So again, shows you clearly, admins, if you have the cloud access, again, your alerts, how many clients are connected, how many EAPs, the access points are there, switches, and your gateway and whatnot. And again, you can click each one of these and go into detail. So if I click the router, I can see that's the router, and I've also got the 8-port switch connected to it. If I click the switch, I've got the these 2 things connected to it. Again, EAP. There we go. Here's the EAP. And the clients. If I click clients, there we go. I've got my Mac Mini connected to it, and I've got my cell phone, my Pixel 6a, connected to it. And you can definitely see all the statistics and data here. If I click this, I can expand and see more statistics. I can see the receive rate, transmit rate, so on and so forth, what channel it's on, what the signal is. So it's got all the basics that you're looking for in a SDN-defined network. We have a dedicated statistics tab, sorry. Again, the statistics, we also have a dedicated statistics tab, and the statistics tab does show the stats for all the devices. So here is the router stats. So you can see here that at 12 a.m. there was a lot of traffic being generated. This is from my Mac, which is doing time machine backups. If you look at the 8-port switch, gives you a little bit less because there's not much, but it does give you a little bit of information. If you click the EAP 605, here we go again. You can see that my Mac Mini was connected with the EAP Wi-Fi, and hence the traffic at midnight due to Time Machine. But it does show you all of the information here. It shows you all of the drop packets, how many retries you've had, all this good stuff. And it also, you can filter it down to 2.4 gigahertz band or the 5 gigahertz band, or all of them combined together. Just like the Ubiquiti stuff, you do have the topology here also. So it shows that it's the internet, router, then my 8-port switch, the EAP is connected to the 8-port switch, and I've got my Mini and my Pixel 6a, and it does show you some nice handy labels that they're both connected on the 5 gigahertz band. We also have, similar to the Ubiquiti stuff, a map where you can edit and simulate. You can upload a blueprint, put in different devices, different access points. It'll kind of show you the range. You can code in the walls, what kind of walls are there, gypsum, steel, brick, whatnot, and it'll give you like a heat map of possible scenarios. You can kind of tweak the locations and see where you can get the maximal coverage. You can get a full list of your inventory of OMADA equipment by just clicking devices, and you can see all the devices are here, and you can see, of course, the IP addresses that have been assigned to them, the status of them, are they connected to the controller or not. You can see the version of the firmware that each product is running, and I do like that if you hit this one button right here, check for update, it will go out and check for the updates for these devices, and as you can see, there is none. Otherwise, an update button would show up here, and you can update the devices right from the controller. If you look at the clients, same thing here. It does show you what clients are connected. In my case, I have 2 clients connected right now, both wirelessly, and you can see here that that they are connected to the EAP 650. If I had connected a client to the switch, I would see another entry and it would say that which port I'm connected to on which device, which is fantastic. You have insights, which is basically like your logs, like your known clients, past connections, switch statuses. You can see here that this is the switch status. This is the port number 1, which is uplink connected to the router. Is right here. It's a full gigabit. And then port number 3, which is connected to the access point, it's drawing 6.3 watts, again connected at gigabit. So again, really handy type of information. And you can of course see other types of statuses. I don't have VPN set up in there, all these things like that, but you can definitely see all these, and of course rogue APs and whatnot. You can go to the log. One of the gripes I did have about the current version of the controller was that it would give you, for example, take this for example, or that. The router detected a large ping attack and dropped 113 packets, but that's it. It doesn't really give you anything more about it, what the origination IP was, what kind of attack. I've been told by TP-Link that this is a very common concern that a lot of OMADA users have, and that that they're working on it. And I saw that update for the controller. Hopefully that they do resolve this and add a little bit more information in there. Finally, we have a one-page report, which is really, really nice. I really like this. It kind of gives you a summary of the health of your network, right? Your traffic distribution, what's going on, all these things like that. What band is utilizing the most data, things like that. So it's really, really nice. I really like this. Finally, if you go to settings, we have very, very similar settings. So, you can set up all types of things here. So applications here, I'll just say it's Office right now, and I'll hit apply. Save it. I'm not sure exactly what the application scenario does. Maybe, if I'm not mistaken, it does some preset settings to, kind of cater for, particular different applications and scenarios, right? Of course, you can control a lot of the things here. If you have multiple access points, you can set up fast roaming, band steering. Again, you go to your wired networks. There we go. Again, very simple. Your WAN modes, you can do all sorts of stuff, right? Like set up your connection for your internet, if it's dynamic, static, whatnot. Enable or disable IPv6, which I like. Same thing for your LAN. You can set up everything here. So you can edit this right over here, set up what kind of subnet you're looking for, your DHCP range, set up VLANs, all sorts of stuff like that. So again, really, really nice. Love it. For your Wi-Fi, same thing. So I've got my SSID name here. I've got the different bands set up. I can set up scheduling. Saying that your radio is on or off at a particular time. I can manage it. Say if it's an office setting, and I do know, let's say that people come into the office at 8 a.m. and they leave by 6 p.m. And that they don't want anybody else to kind of hop onto their network, or there's no need for that network to be even visible or available out of those hours. Then guess what? I can set up times for them, saying that turn on the Wi-Fi at 8 a.m. or say 7:30 a.m. and shut it off at like 6:30 or 7 p.m. This way it adds a little extra layer of security so that you don't get drive-by hackers and whatnot. Again, same thing here. If you can set up automatic channel optimization. If you've got new access points popping up all the time, it will scan and kind of pick the right band for you. So this is something good, but I usually like doing a Wi-Fi survey and figuring out the bands that are applicable for my customers. Maybe once every 6 months or things like that, I will go in and just kind of re-verify if everything is good. Maybe new access points have popped up which are crowding a particular band, so I will just move it to something that's a little bit less utilized. Again, lots of options here. You can create rules. There's some flood defense or packet anomaly defense options here, and that's where that log file was coming up saying pings, but it doesn't give you more information. Hopefully they work on that. Of course, firewall options, and we have options pretty much to satisfy a lot of home users, prosumers, and definitely small businesses for sure. What I do also like is you can create a VPN tunnel and have remote users connect in. Again, very, very nice. You can also set up radius profiles for those users, whatnot. So again, very, very similar to the Ubiquiti stuff. I really like it. It's pretty good. Again, I've got, for example, if you go here to the TP-Link Cloud, let's see. There we go. All right. So this is exactly what I was talking to you about, like the unify type of thing. So as a MSP, if I'm administering many OMADA sites, all of them will show up here. So right now I only have one site. Let's just close this, for example. But if I launch this, it will take me via their TP-Link Cloud, route me to my own controller, right? So I really like that again. Really good. So basically, the same thing I was seeing with my direct IP address, I'm seeing over here. So if we go back to, dashboard, it's exactly the same thing. So regardless of where I am in the world, as long as my controller has access to the internet, I will definitely see this. And, really nice. It shows you it has one site, 3 devices, 2 clients are connected. There's alerts here, what version of the controller software it's running, and my action is to launch it. So again, if I had 15 or 20 of these, I would see them all listed here. So let's say if I had customer A, customer B, customer C, I would see them. If I want to diagnose any issues or optimize something, I would just click and go and be done with it. So again, really, really nice. I really do like the way that they're doing things. So let's talk a little bit about my experience. Let's first talk about what they have sent me in terms of hardware. So I have the EAP 650 access point. So let's look at that. So we go to products, access point, EAP 650. There we go. So you can see here this AX3000 ceiling mount Wi-Fi 6 access point. It's PoE powered, of course. The good news is I did notice that in the box they did supply also. Actually, the box is right over here. They also did supply a AC adapter, right? So over here, I haven't used it yet, which is really nice because a lot of clients might want this access point, but they don't have a PoE switch. They don't want to invest in one. So this is really nice that all of their devices do come with a AC adapter. So you don't really have to buy a PoE injector or anything like that. So I like that functionality they give you to be able to run with either AC power or PoE. If you look at the backside of the access point, again, very simple. It's just got a reset button, your Ethernet port here, which is PoE powered, and if you want, you can use the AC power. But very simple, very nice. It's a small device. It's not very big. Looks nice, very professional. And so far, honestly, it's been running absolutely amazing. I've had no, dropping issues. In fact, all of this TP-Link OMADA equipment is set up in my basement, including the access point, but all the way, at the top floor, I am getting a good signal. I would say better than good, above average signal. So I'm impressed at the power of the access point, the stability of the OMADA lineup so far. No real complaints there. Now, the other equipment they sent to me was the this one here, the SG22110. So let's look at that. So 22110P, that's the one, correct. So they sent me this, which is a 10-port gigabit smart switch with 8-port PoE. So again, if you look at here, you've got your 8 ports over here, which are all PoE, and then you've got the extra 2 ports, which are not shared, if I'm not mistaken. They're not shared with any of these ports here. They're actually individual ports, but they're SFP. So again, you can connect any fiber-based equipment, or if you want to stack switches together, you can always use the fiber ports to stack them together. So this is also really, really good. The last thing they did also send me was the ER605 router. So let's look at the router here, products, routers, ER605. Again, really tiny. You can see, just from the size of the network ports, the really tiny, small device. It's got your WAN. The beautiful thing is that it's got a dedicated WAN port, but port number 2, 3, and 4 can also be configured for WAN. So you could actually technically have up to 4 WAN ports and either do load balancing or failover between all of them. And then of course, by default it's configured to 1 WAN port and then the rest are LAN, but you can configure all of this in the software controller. Again, very, very small unit, but this does all the routing for TP-Link. Now, it's a good thing I saw this screen here that TP-Link does have a software just like Ubiquiti. I haven't really played around with it a lot. I prefer doing most of my administration on a PC, but it's good to know that for something quick on the go, you do have the capabilities of using the software or phone app and administer something simple and quick remotely or anywhere in the world. So again, really good solution so far. I've been quite impressed with the TP-Link OMADA, and it's been great so far. I've had no real complaints. While we do this, let me upgrade the controller software, and I will see if they've made any changes and if these issues that I was facing about the ping attacks have gone. So I'll be right back. All right, so I actually decided to show the upgrade process in a video. So you can see here that on the forums that they have released yesterday, actually, the new controller software, and I downloaded the change log, and it seems that they have updated a lot of things. Okay, so again here, one of the things was displaying the source IP address of large ping attack packets, and on top of that, they've done a lot of other optimizations, added a lot of other features, functionality, things like that. So I haven't gone through this in detail, but again, let's see how we do this. So first things first is we're going to go here down here to the deb version because I am running it on a Ubuntu VM. I'm going to copy the link. I've SSH'd into my server. You can see that this is the old controller I had, which was 5.5.6. The new one is 5.6.3. So I'm just going to do a simple wget, and then I'm going to paste the URL of that file. So it'll download. It's downloaded, and I'm just going to say sudo dpkg-i omada 5.6.3, and let's do that. So it's going to stop the controller, the existing controller. So let's see how long this takes. There we go. And it's asking you that you want to continue with the install. So yes. And it's saying that unpacking 5.6.3 over 5.5.6. So it is actually doing an in-place upgrade. Now, the beautiful thing about all of this is that while the controller is being upgraded, your network still does work completely fine. It doesn't require the controller to run, but it does require the controller to, configure and of course report. But once the configuration is done, it could technically be disconnected from the controller and it will continue operating in the last known configuration. So there we go. It was just that easy. All I did was just download one deb file, dpkg-i, and then the name of the deb file. And if we go here, this should be starting up anytime soon. So let's give it a, there we go. It's actually there. So let's log in. All right, let's see. Actually, let's go to settings, controller. Let's have a look at the dashboard, see what's going on here. So not much has changed over here. Statistics. Okay, so it's now at least showing the user counts properly. You can see here that there was a small bug. It wouldn't show it properly, but there we go. So it is showing things properly right now. In fact, because it is provisioning and configuring and all this stuff because a new controller, it will take a little bit of time. So let's see once this is done. So configuring, all of this is now connected except for this one. Let's give it a second. Should configure itself. And while it's doing that, actually still configuring. So while it's doing that, let's see if there's an update, if the actual OS update or the firmware update is actually baked into the deb file, the controller file, or if it's separate. I think it'll be separate. Yeah, it is separate. There we go. Now, it just occurred to me that, of course, it won't show the IP address because this was a past log message, but anything that comes again in the future, which should have the IP address of the entity that was, doing the attack for you. So let's look at that. Give it a second. This is going to take a minute or two, but yeah, because it's configuring, it's rebooting the router, it's doing all sorts of stuff right now. So give it a second. Everything should come back up. Again, this I have set it up to auto refresh. I think every 5 or 10 seconds. There we go, 15 seconds, which is the lowest refresh interval. However, that being said, you can do it by clicking the refresh button over here. So if you go to devices again, there we go. You can see it's adopting this one. So give it a second. We can always hit refresh. Oh, there we go. It's connected. Perfect. So yeah, the upgrade was actually very, very smooth. This looks a little bit different now. I think this will just take a little bit of time for it to kind of show properly because it was disconnecting and readopting devices, but everything looks good. Let's do a quick update to see if anything is there. A new firmware for the devices. Nope, not really. But yeah, everything looks good, to be honest with you for now. It's just, I guess, the controller is cooking up, so that's why it's not seeing anything right now. But there we go. Everything looks good. Everything seems to be working quite well. Perfect. So yeah, there we go. So again, you can see here, I've got a client group here. You can see how it's connected. So these things will just take a little bit of time for the controller to kind of figure out the topology, and will show it to you correctly. But that's pretty much my review or take on TP-Link OMADA. I have had this for close to a month now, and I've actually been very, very, very happy with the performance of TP-Link OMADA equipment. It's actually quite. I was pleasantly surprised. I wasn't expecting it to be this good, but things work well. They're quite elegantly done. Like I said, again, it's not for really super heavy duty, networks. I think that TP-Link OMADA is still not there yet, but for home use, prosumer use, small businesses, maybe even somewhere between small to mid-sized businesses, depending on the complexity of their network, TP-Link OMADA might be actually a very, very nice choice for them. Anyways, guys, hopefully you like this video. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. See you next time.